because attitudes to us, that means that their attitudes changed. They got what they wanted, their capital, but consistent communication is key.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah. So, Mike, so what advice do you have for people in corporate that want to become an entrepreneur?
Well, look, to what you said before about people in corporate America or in a company and having a stable job and be in their comfort zone, there's a place for that. And what most people don't realize is the grass isn't greener on the other side. Entrepreneurship's hard. And it, most people don't realize that how hard entrepreneurship is until they get into it. A lot of successful entrepreneurs that have had great success have repeatedly said that if they would go back in time, they wouldn't have done it if they knew how hard it was. And that's true of many entrepreneurs. And I can tell you that from experience. But you have to have so much passion around the problem that you're trying to solve, is that most rational people will give up. And so you have to be irrational to the point where you're not going to give up. Now, obviously, if there's catastrophic things that happen and you realize that this product is not the right time and place, there's a point where you have to realize, like, this isn't going to work. But it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And so people have to understand, like, are you doing this for a lifestyle reason, or are you doing it because you're passionate about solving a problem where you think you can build a product or service that's going to resonate with a huge market of customers? And I think the people that are jumping into entrepreneurship for just lifestyle, I think those are the ones that have it wrong and are the ones that are going to struggle, because let's face the facts. For most of your time in entrepreneurship, it's a very difficult lifestyle. I mean, if you have kids, you're raising a family, I'm sure you can set your own hours, but you're working 24/7. You're constantly working on the weekends. And so there's a trade-off. Comes with flexibility, comes with having to work pretty much 24/7 and being on, answering calls. And you're going, the ups and downs of entrepreneurship are crazy. It's not steady Eddie corporate America. It's a roller coaster ride. And so too many people, what I urge entrepreneurs or young people that I mentor to do is really understand what you're about to get into. Can you afford, or do you have the strength to deal with this roller coaster ride? Because there's turbulence, and there's heavy turbulence. And so if you don't have the stomach to deal with something like this, maybe it's just not the right time. But so many people overlook that aspect, and they just get so excited on starting something. And you look at some of these colleges and some of the courses, there's, entrepreneurship isn't a major. Entrepreneurship comes from actually being out and working and figuring things out, and then working to identify a problem and trying to solve it. So there's too many people, I think, that I call them entrepreneurs, right? They just want to be an entrepreneur. But if you really dig deep, well, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Well, I just want to own my own thing or run my own shop. And okay, well, that's not going to last forever. Of course, if you get some capital behind you and you have some resources, you can start something. But eventually the music's going to stop if you're not able to prove to the marketplace that what you're doing is working. And so I think too many people jump into it without really thinking it through. And I think that it's not that they can't be an entrepreneur. Sometimes it's just maybe this isn't the right time, and maybe it's just not the right idea.
Mike, what are the biggest challenges that you have with an entrepreneur founder, and how you become that challenge?
Challenges with an entrepreneur founder, we try to make sure that we address those challenges up front before we invest, and we use every investment to learn, okay, well, what do we potentially miss, and what are the characteristics of the founder that we like and that we don't like. And really, it involves having deep conversations with them up front, especially if you're making a meaningful investment, whether you're going to be on their advisory board or on their board of directors. But what I don't like, I guess one of the characteristics that I do like is when founders are willing to ask for help. To me, I love that. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. It's a sign of strength
Absolutely.
when you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, but it's a sign of strength where you have full command of your business, where you know areas that you need help in, and you're going to your investors and your advisors to ask for help. That's why we're here.
That's a good sign of a great entrepreneur.
And so I don't view that as a negative. I view it as a positive.
Absolutely.
But some entrepreneurs can actually view that as a negative.
Because
they're scared to ask for help.
Yeah, the worst thing that you can have is this entrepreneur with this ego that they think they know everything,
right?
And they have all the solutions. And I would say, the biggest failure that we have out there in founders is that ego. That ego goes into the way that because exactly you said, it's so low barrier to entry to create the tech product. Give them, start talk to these people, they don't know what to do with that thing.
Right.
You
And
need
the
to
other
give them
thing
something
is
from 100 million and they can take it to 1 billion. This is the part that they know how to do. So Google, the next Facebook, whatever, and they don't know that as soon as you start to get a market share and one of the big competitors go close to you, you have two choices. You either join with these people, or like that, they can develop something similar and get you out of the question. You end up with zero. You don't even know, like this, right?
That's right.
You need to,
and just to finish answering your question, one of the things I don't like is lack of communication. And so what we've noticed, we try to ensure that we're going to receive consistent communication from these founders. And we've seen instances where everyone's highly communicative. Once they receive their funding for a certain round, not just us, but whole pool of investors, the communication falls off a cliff. And that's a really bad sign, because attitudes to us, that means that their attitudes changed. They got what they wanted, their capital, but consistent communication is key. It's something that is just prevalent in all great founders. They're so appreciative of their investor base. They're communicating consistently. They take great pride in their accomplishments. I mean, that's very important for us running a VC fund. Look, there's periods of time where you're extremely busy. Like this first quarter, we were on the road in a bunch of cohorts, but we're still communicative back to our LP and investor base, letting them know we're busy. Here's going to be updates. And so communication is key. And that's the hallmark of a great entrepreneur, that they're updating everyone in terms of what's going on with their business. But to answer your question, that is something that is a huge issue for us. It's something that we work on when we make investments, to ensure that we're investing with an entrepreneur that prides himself on strong communication.
Probably nobody talks about, but probably the only common thing that, that Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, all these big tech entrepreneurs have in common, the only thing is that they always ask for help. Otherwise, there is no way that they can reach where they reach. They have something very profound in them, and is that they don't have ego. People don't know is that when you're actually, as soon as you write this 1 million, you have to unlearn everything you know.
That's
you need to learn how to go from 1 million to 10 million. But then when you reach to 10 million, you have to unlearn everything, 10 million to 100 million. And the VC is someone that can be by your side and tell you, look, this is how it's doing. Please do it like this. This is my own experience. So this is what a VC is. Your someone that you can learn from, and that is not only your money, but it's gonna be your next mentor. It's gonna be your coach, in order for you to reach this level. It's not someone that, hey, give me money. And for example, I hear a lot in tech entrepreneurs, okay, I'm gonna ask for money, but these VCs, they're not gonna control my company and they're not gonna tell me what to do. And this is really a really wrong approach. But this is what you hear in the in the space. No. The money, but I don't want to control. I don't want them to tell me what to do. And I'm like, you don't want them to tell you what to do? Do you think you do you think you know what to do? So is that mentality? I know everything, and not the big deal here. What doesn't work if you really want to
That's
grow
right.
a company. We all been there. Look, don't wrong, Mike. Yeah, because that's the main reason why we are entrepreneurs in the first place, because we think that we can do better. Yeah, so
That's right.
all entrepreneurs, we have that ego. Yeah, we have it. The
And
issue is, and I'm speaking of my own experience, when you realize that you have to let that go. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, because when I started my first business, I thought that I was a big deal. I was making million in my property business, and I thought that I was a big deal, and I know everything, and everybody need to listen to Harry, and Harry is the big boss, and whatever. Then I opened a restaurant, lost 200,000, and I realized that I didn't know anything about business, and I was nobody, no one. And I
that's
had
right.
to drop that ego and start to ask for help and start to learn from other people in order to grow. So being there, done it. I don't think that. No, I don't have ego. I doubt because
That's right.
otherwise you don't open a business. But so, Mike, let me ask this question to you: When was the moment that you find out that you have to drop your? Okay, you started your restaurant and you 3 restaurants at the beginning, and you thought that you knew everything. You start to tell everybody what to do, everything. But when in your process as an entrepreneur, you realize that, oh, this ego, I had to let this go. This is not good. Let
Well,
me
I
start
was
to learn from
fortunate.
everybody.
Yeah, I was fortunate because I really never had an ego, because I was entering a
wow.
space that I didn't really have much
Very
experience
lucky.
in. And so I think
You always
you
wanted
tend,
to learn, right?
yeah, and so I needed to learn. I had to hire consultants, and I had a good idea. I knew how to execute it, but I never operated in this space. And so by virtue of that, I was smart enough to ask for help, because I needed some people to help me in certain areas that I didn't have experience in. And so I was very fortunate in that aspect, and that taught me a lot, because had I not asked for help or brought these people in to assist me, I would have made some major mistakes. And I look back at some of the decisions that I thought were right, and people I brought in to help told me were wrong. And I look back and say, if I would have made those decisions, things would have looked a lot differently today. So I was very fortunate in that aspect, I think, but that was a unique situation. Too many people that are going into a space that they know very well think they know everything, and then that they tend to have more of a view of, I don't really need to ask for help. And so that's where people can get in trouble. But I think, just back to what you said before, as VCs, investors, it's also our job, when you see these things, to potentially speak up. I mean, too many times we see these things happening and know that this could be trouble, and, the wrong things are unfolding. And so we're not shy to speak up, and we'll do it for the right reasons. And I think that's very important. But, again, my situation was a little bit unique, but most people realize that they should have asked for help when it's too late. And that's what I was sort of alluding to earlier, is that it's too late. Things can't be recovered. And they look back and said, I should have asked for help, but my mindset at the time was, I don't need any help. I'm going to figure this out myself. And so that type of circumstance happens far too often.
Mike, so if someone is in love with our conversation and they want to learn more from you, how can people find you? How this process works?
They can find me on LinkedIn. So they can look me up, Mike Schatzman, or they can visit our website at ventureforwardcapital.com. All my information is listed on our website.
Thank you so much, Mike, for this broadcast, and for all of you following the Unstoppable podcast. See you in our next episode. How brave entrepreneur like Mike break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.